How are you, Lennart? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I just think my connection is not that good, but I have I should place the router a bit nearer to the place I am now. I will do that now. Just a second.
I can't say make it.
Hi, Lee.
Hello.
Yeah. I'm in the car on the way home from town. Had an appointment that didn't leave me enough time to get home before the meeting started. So here we are. So you'll have a bit of car noise. Tell me how you've been going, Lennart.
Quite fine. Just you see, I'm in bed because I slept like 4 or 5 hours today because yeah, I adopted a second cat, and the two cats are getting to know each other. And tonight, I think they became friends, and they are playing all the time. And it was quite noisy, so I couldn't sleep anymore. But I'm very fine otherwise, having a day off.
All right. So do you see this cat as having the potential to teach you a few things?
Yeah, it's a bit, I mean, maybe it's a projection, but as you know, I spent like nearly 3 years in a quite isolated way. And I think I'm allowing myself now to feel a connection to people and to be not always alone at home. And then also, I think it's kind of mirroring this situation, like giving my cat the opportunity to interact with another cat. So I'm quite happy about both things, actually.
Good.
Yeah, but then one thing that I was noticing, I mean, I told you that I'm getting to know someone at the moment, and it's like we're talking a lot, there's a lot of exchange, but sometimes what I notice is that, yeah, there on his side, there are problems or subjects that he is thinking about a lot, which have to do, yeah, I would say with identification. And then sometimes I don't really get the point, or it's like difficult for me to be empathetic because, yeah, because I'm not there anymore, you know, like to make it a bit more clear, yeah, um, uh, like he lived in heterosexual relationships all his life, and he doesn't have gay or lesbian friends, for example.
Oh.
And that's why now he thinks he missed out on something, and he's wondering like about what is his role as a gay man, and what is his effect on other gay men and stuff like that. And then I yeah, it happens like every time we talk with each other, and it's really, yeah, I could feel that I had some resistance to this subject, because I think I have been struggling like from my teenage times to, let's say, more or less 30 with this subject.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of like this big identification subject like really dropped off. I don't really think about it anymore. I'm not in this world of how do I look, and what will other gay men think of me, and blah blah blah, all this. I'm Yeah, I don't go to gay parties or like places that are, yeah, exclusively gay or something like that. I just don't, it's not my identification. It's, I mean, of course it, I wouldn't say that it doesn't mean anything to me, but I don't see it as a lifestyle, you know.
Yes.
So and then at some point I said to him, well, yeah, sorry, I have to tell you that I'm a bit bored by this subject. And um, then yeah, I think afterwards he sent me an audio saying that he was a bit hurt by me saying that, because, yeah, because I had going through those experiences and he didn't. And then I said, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I know that that it's easy for me to say like, I don't care about this subject. But yeah, I mean, I told him, yeah, please feel free to talk about this with me if you like. And then on the other hand, I said, but I mean, I just have to be honest. I mean, if it's every time we meet, it will just not be my favorite subject to talk about, you know? So, and then I tried to find some comparison, like some identification that, yeah, I mean, I asked him like, would you like to talk every time we meet, like over 2 hours about what it feels like to be a German guy or something like that, you know? So just to make, or to be a blonde, I don't know. Yeah, but then it was kind of, on one hand, I can see, yeah, I should be maybe more empathetic and put myself into his place. But on the other hand, I was like asking myself, do I have an aversion to this subject, which would mean that I'm not actually that done with it? Or am I just putting boundaries because it's like, yeah, because, yeah, I told him at some point that I find it super unnecessary, because because he's projecting things on me, because he thinks like, you are a gay guy and you will expect certain things from me. And then I said, no, I don't actually. I don't have any ideas about that, because it's not my identification thing, you know? So yeah, I found this quite tricky to see through that, but I guess, yeah, I'm also okay with putting myself into his place, but I think I can't, yeah, I have to say that I find that this question, when it comes to getting to know each other, is something that stands in the way, because it's not necessary, I mean, to think about which role to play being in contact with me. So yeah.
Mm.
And then also, yeah, I think on the other hand, I'm not quite sure, because I detected some kind of negative thought patterns, that then I had a conversation with my sister, and my sister was recently reading a lot about attachment styles, and I know it's just a concept, or it's just another story, but on the other hand, then I made, just for fun, I made a test, and I just could see, yeah, well, maybe I'm an insecure attachment type or something like that. So that's not to say that I identify with this type. It was just interesting to see that maybe, yeah, it's not that exceptional. I'm just like other people, and I have the same, yeah, behavioral patterns as other people as well. So and then I was considering the possibility that maybe by saying like your subject about this gay identity is boring for me, because at that point I felt like maybe somebody's getting a bit too close to me, and that was like also a strategy of putting him away or something. So yeah, that's something that makes me a bit confused also, because yeah, I have sometimes this chatter here that I'm monitoring somehow, or that yeah, sometimes I have to be very aware of it being just chatter and not identifying with it. But then the chatter of somebody else comes in, and it's kind of like having three balls at the same time. So it's a bit complicated for me sometimes.
Lennart, do you think playing a role is something wrong?
Something wrong? I don't know. I mean, everybody can play a role if he likes. I mean, anyway, I think it's very difficult not to play a role somehow, because like even my way of dealing with the subject might be considered as another role as well. So it's like just depends from which angle you look at it. But I mean, if I'm getting to know someone and he expects me to tell him what role I expect of him, then I can't really give an answer because
Yeah. So are you thinking that this relationship can go somewhere? Or are you thinking that it's not going to go anywhere?
I don't know. It's not that I'm not thinking about that at all, but I really can't know. I mean, I just see that there is a connection and that I'm enjoying a lot to be able to share all these things with someone, even if sometimes I find it a bit exhausting also. But there is a certain intensity that I was clearly missing like in the last 3 years. So I think like the first 2 times we met, well, there was like a lot of enthusiasm, and now it's getting maybe a bit more realistic, let's say. So I also feel free to say, well, I don't know what to tell you because it's not my cup of tea, you know, like this.
Yeah.
But if it's important for you to think out loud and speak about it with me, then we can do that, you know. And I will also feel free to talk about my issues that might not all be your subject or your cup of tea, but that's something beautiful, and it's not always fun, you know.
Yeah. So how much tolerance do you think you have for him not getting where you're coming from?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I would say at that in this moment where I said like, yeah, now I'm really a bit bored by this subject was mm, yeah, maybe I can understand that somebody's thinking about all these things. I mean, I also did that when I was 20, that I was asking myself all those things. And of course, if you did not have like all these experiences, yeah, but I would really like to, yeah, and then I could say, yeah, actually all the experience that I had, I would like to not have had them actually. So you can just be happy that you didn't have to make all those experiences. But of course, that's not true because my experiences led me to where I am now. So I don't really care about that anymore. Yeah, I just wanted to make to let him know that it's not necessary to when it comes to think about those things when it comes to our interaction, because it's not relevant for me. I don't know.
Do you
And
think that
this
he has?
leads to him feeling insecure about how to behave, or I don't know. It's like totally unnecessary, actually.
Yeah. Do you think he has control over what he thinks about?
No, I don't. And then yesterday, for example, we talked, and then I don't want to tell all the story now, but it's like he lives in a village, and then his ex-partner also lives there, and at the moment they are not having a good moment in their being parents together, but being separated, and everybody wants to lead his own life, not always compromising with the other one, and so on. And yeah, I think they just reached a point where they have to make a clearer separation, but that's of course difficult because that will be felt by the children as well.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, for example, all this kind of things, I'm very empathetic with that, although it could be more difficult for me because I don't have, I never had such a long relationship, I don't have children and so on, but I'm very empathetic with that. And I also tend to say, yeah, but do you think that that your ex-partner really thinks that, or is it just that you think he thinks that, you know? So I don't know her, but actually I sometimes try to take her side just to, I don't know. Yeah, I don't, can't judge on the situation. I'm just listening and asking questions. But then there was like a story about some guy whom he doesn't like because he's so superficial, and her ex-partner is making friends with him, although he told her he doesn't like him, and blah, 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 blah. And then at some point I said, yeah, but it's not about this guy, right? It's about your relationship with her. And this, if it was a theater play, then probably this guy would be someone it is talking about in the play, but he never appears, you know, like not a protagonist, let's say.
Yeah.
And but I must say that, yeah, sometimes I have to be very clear about my own chatter, you know, not to identify with it, the chatter in my head. And actually the last weekend and the last days were a bit more tricky for me because it was like really sometimes a shitstorm of these negative thought patterns. And then sometimes it's a bit difficult for me to manage my own chatter and somebody else's chatter as well. I mean, nobody expects me to do that, but yeah, I find this sometimes tricky to manage my own chatter and then also be empathetic with the story told by somebody else, you know?
So do you think that
I don't.
oh sorry. Go on. Do you think that his that your reaction to his stories, you're saying it's a bit boring for you, but I'm wondering if it's something a bit more than that, than being bored. Does it cause you any emotional reaction?
Mm, mm, it depends. I mean, this family story and the story about the guy he doesn't like, but he is in contact with his ex-partner and so on. I could say, I didn't say that in a bored manner. I just asked him like, do you really think that it's about this guy, or it's rather like something symbolic about the intimacy with your ex-partner that is somehow not there anymore because now other people are entering this sphere of, yeah, the relationship that before was more intimate and now it isn't, because everybody wants to lead his own life and make his own decisions.
Yep.
Then actually he sent me an audio after the day after, and then he said that after our conversation, when he went to bed, he felt quite calm and happy because he had also seen through that it doesn't actually has to do anything with this guy in the village, and that he told me he said thank you for
Yep.
making
That is
for mirroring that to me. And then this was rather like I felt it felt good to have this exchange and to have like this feedback that it apparently really helped him, or it made him feel more calm, because I know that it's like a very difficult situation emotionally for him at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, but that doesn't really have, I mean, that doesn't really have anything to do for me with our contact when we are together. I mean, it's maybe a prominent or like a dominant subject, but it's about his life and I have my life, and that's not a problem. But for example, this yeah, this role thing, and what will a gay man expect of me, and I feel insecure because I don't know how it works to be in a gay relationship and stuff like that. And then I can only say, please stop it, because I don't have any expectations and it's just fine how it is.
Okay,
No.
let's stop now. Yeah. So when you say please stop it,
Yeah.
he's not going to just stop it. He's going to
Mm,
he's going to feel, he's going to imagine some underlying story in you about that.
yeah.
And that underlying story is going to be something like, he doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
A version of that, whatever that is. Yeah. Right. Because what he's doing is he's trying to make contact with you via the content of these stories. He wants you to engage with the content of the story. Right. And you actually don't feel any need or any value in engaging with the content of it. But how to get that message over to him is the tricky bit. Now, what my thoughts are to suggest that while he is telling you, you say to him, your version of this, that while you are telling me a story about so-and-so or about this or that or whatever, you and I are not in contact with each other. I want to be in contact. And
Yeah.
every time you tell me a story, you move away from that contact. So that will have the same effect as what you said. I don't want to hear the story, but it will be in a way that doesn't reject him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he told me that he felt the trust to tell me that he's actually thinking about these things, and that he feels a bit like a teenager, and that he felt a bit ashamed about it. And now I say, oh, come on, that's boring, and then
Yes.
I noticed, okay, that was not very nice of me, because if somebody like is doing an emotional striptease and then you say like, sorry, boring,
So you
then
rejected it again.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
So it's
yeah,
where you need to check in with your own body about what's going on for you, so maybe it's already, see, we can have contradictions at the same time. So maybe it's already the stage where you don't see any future in this relationship, but there are good bits that you don't want to lose.
Mm,
Get these contradictory things going at the same time.
mm,
So what, and maybe that changes as well. It doesn't stay the same all the time. So, you know, at
yeah.
certain times you're going to be much more for the relationship, and at other times you're going to be more bored with it, right? Whatever.
Mm,
This comes and goes, ups and downs all the way through. But maybe the way you feel about the relationship is influenced by the level of intimacy, and he doesn't realize that when he's inviting you to intimacy by telling you stories, that is in fact he's killing the intimacy. He doesn't realize that. Now you can't just say that to him directly because he's going to feel offended again. You've got to always talk about you from your perspective. You know, so you can say, I feel when you're talking about so and so that we're not together in a way that I want to be together. You know, I want to be together in a way that doesn't involve somebody in a village over there. It's just us here, or whatever.
Yeah, actually, I told him once that I like the fact that he is not conditioned by this gay lifestyle, because it's something that I can't connect with.
No, that's
I
you don't want
I
to
had my experience with that like over many years trying to fit in, and I didn't. And I don't want to generalize, but there are certain things that I don't really appreciate about this gay scene, like having to be always young and
I get it.
super masculine and things like that. So,
Can you recognize at the moment that he is in a transition, and as a result, he doesn't have a stable identity. He's looking for a new identity, right?
yeah.
And of course, what your experience is that adopting the identity of a gay man is not really a very productive way to be. You know, it's limiting.
Yeah.
And you want more than that for him. You don't want him to be by that. So let's not go there. If we don't, let's not do it and have to undo it. Better to not even go there in the first
Yeah.
place.
To be honest, I think the moment when I said I'm a bit bored now by that was that maybe in the first place I didn't expect to meet someone with whom I can share so many interests, have an emotional exchange, talk a lot, because I think what we both share is that we don't like to talk blah blah, and more often other people feel a bit like, or let us know that it's a bit too much for them. And I really enjoy this, like we meet and then we go straight to the point and then we talk for hours. And yeah, and maybe it was like a moment, yeah, just like so many years I was struggling with this gay identity thing, and now it's like, oh, not again, you know. I put it into some old box, very like on the attic, and I never, it's like full of moths, and I don't really open it anymore because I don't really care about it. And now somebody's opening this moth box and takes out all the old things, and it's really like, oh, not again, please, you know. So
that's a clue for you.
yeah.
That brings up for me the idea that your boredom is a way of escaping from your discomfort when it reminds you of this phase in your life.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also thought that Yeah, for example, what I really I didn't feel comfortable, for example, with going to gay bars, because I don't think it's my imagination, because I know that also from other friends that who told me the same, that you go to this bar and then you feel like people are scanning you, and they have like certain ideas about how you have to look, and then you already know, okay, in this group of people I'm ranked as like this or this or this, sexy or not that sexy guy. And I don't really like this over sexualized atmosphere, you know. I don't want to be looked at like this, and I don't want to look at other people like that. So I don't go there anymore. And then also in Berlin, for example, I remember the last gay parties I went to was like 2 times in a row that some drunk or drugged guy would just like, I was talking to a friend and he would like put mm, his hand into my trousers, like touching my ass or something like that. And my reaction was that I was like, what's happening? And I did like, you know, and then I thought it was just a reaction, but I thought like, on my weekends, I don't want to go to clubs like beating people, you know? So, but it's like, for me, it's like an adequate reaction, because if somebody doesn't respect my private sphere or my body, then it should not be surprised if I do that, you know? But then like this idea that if you go to a gay party, that means you accept like everybody touches you, and if you don't, you are like yeah, how do you say this, prude or something like that, you know?
You don't belong there anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the message that you would like to get over to him is that you're a person first and gay second,
Yeah.
not the other way around. Yeah. You know what I
And
mean?
not for me, I'm not even second gay. It's just like I label that I can't really.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, I would not deny that I don't feel, or at least not at the moment, attracted to women. But for example, a friend of mine who was really, let's say, socialized in the gay scene of the 90s in Berlin, when he was, um, and I mean, maybe he could rather fit into a gay stereotype. And when he was 50, he fell in love with a woman. And it was like, wow, he was so in love with her, you know? And then um, other gay, like his old gay friends, they were really like, how can you are a traitor, and we fought for this, you know, demonstrations and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's where I understood, oh, there's not only homophobia but also heterophobia.
Mm.
And, yeah, and I found it so ridiculous. Like actually I found it really beautiful that nature can play this trick, you know, and suddenly someone doesn't feel the same way as all his life before, and that can happen, you know?
Well, people fall in love, not gays, not lesbians, not whatever. It's people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Yes. I'm inclined to think, see, with I yeah, I don't know how to put this. So there's a story here that says something like if somebody was talking to me like that,
Mm,
I would be looking for what is behind it.
mm,
I'm not even getting engaged with the content of the story. I'm looking at
mm,
why they're telling the story, all right?
mm,
What's going on for them that's telling the story. And so
There's no one in your contacts named so.
I find everybody interesting because of that. The way that when I relate to people, that's the level I relate to. I'm not particularly concerned about the content of their story.
mm,
But then, you know, what it gets going in me is empathy, and
mm,
compassion and sympathy, and that's part of the connection that happens.
mhm.
So
And yeah, I think I was lacking this empathy because I had already spent like 48 hours with this person and I'm not used to it. And maybe, yeah, actually the first time we spent like 2 days and 2 nights together, there was a moment, for example, when I felt tired or like socially tired. I could not really react anymore. I didn't know what to say anymore. And what he does sometimes is like to start teasing me, but it's like a flirty way of teasing, you know. It can be fun, but after a while, I felt like, oh, now I feel tired. Like I don't want to react to this teasing,
yeah,
like for
just
2 hours or something like that. And then the good thing was that normally that would be a situation when I want to escape, or but then I told him, sorry, but could you please stop teasing me now, because I feel like I can't answer this. I'm not eloquent anymore. I don't feel like being funny and reacting to that. Just give me a break. And that worked. That was a really good experience.
yeah, he
Um,
responded to you.
yeah.
So you could put that in terms of, and it's like everybody has that threshold where we just need a bit of quiet in order to recharge.
Yeah.
It's not about him. It's just about you
Mm.
used up all of your available energy and you just need a bit of a break.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. And it's a bit like um, when I isolated myself, the outcome of that was that even with my best friends, I could spend maybe 30 minutes, but not more. So I'm quite happy that I'm a bit more trained in being with other people, and it's not anymore like that. I can, yeah, because this being alone also leads to, okay, everything has to be as I want. And if it doesn't work like this, and I have to make a compromise with somebody else, and it really refers to small things, then then it feels like frustrating. And I don't have this anymore. Um, Maybe there are some moments when I feel like, okay, now I'm not listening anymore in a concentrated way, but then maybe I can get aware of it and say like, could you say this again? And then I refocus. But yeah, maybe it's I mean, if it's like talking 24 hours and sleeping 4 hours and then it goes on like this, I mean, I love this intensity, but also at the same time it's like
you know,
exhausting, you know.
yeah. So the takeaway for me for the whole thing is that the opportunities that this is presenting for you to
Mm.
go deeper into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to stop thinking about it in terms of what he is or what he's bringing to the table, right?
Mm.
It's regardless, because what he's bringing is triggering you,
Mm.
but it's triggering your stuff in you. It's nothing to do with him or whatever. He's just,
Yeah, and then I don't like to be censored in a relationship as either. I mean, if somebody tells me don't talk about this subject, but it's something that is important to me, of course, I also would feel rejected.
being told what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I do have an issue with this gay subject because if I imagine now, I mean, uh, if I was totally fine with that and that didn't trigger me anymore, it would mean that I could go to a gay party or a gay bar and let everybody be as he is and don't feel aversion or something like this.
Hmm.
But to me, it's like, and that's not true either. Like, you can't generalize that so much. I mean, maybe for some people, it's an important identification point and they love to have this lifestyle and they enjoy playing this stereotypes and this way of showing themselves as very masculine and stuff like that. And that should be okay as well. I mean,
Well,
um,
everything is what
I,
it, things are not
I,
necessarily okay or not okay.
yeah,
So
I
maybe
don't know.
you wouldn't
I
say
experience,
you'd be okay to go to a bar and put up with that stuff. Maybe
Hmm.
you'd just be quite relaxed about not going there.
yeah, because that's a bit difficult for me to say because from my experience, um, it's kind of a very toxic atmosphere, because
Oh, yeah,
um,
yeah.
everybody would tell you like everybody's feeling a bit lonely, everybody's longing for a connection or for intimacy or love, but everybody has to play like the cool bitch and
Yeah.
like, and that's not a nice atmosphere and it's not a place where I want to be and it's not a place where I want to fit in. And I think it's
Surely there
just
are bars that are not
a
like.
healthy way of dealing with it for
Hmm.
me. It's I
Yeah,
don't want to be part of this toxic interaction.
yeah, and that's fair enough. I don't see why you should. You don't have to. Um.
Mm.
So, but what you say that if I'm okay, I should be able to do that. That doesn't make sense to me.
No?
Now, if you're okay and you had to put up with that situation for some reason,
Mm.
I reckon you would cope with it in a much better way, but you would be quite clear about your boundaries. But
Mm.
I wouldn't imagine that you would voluntarily put yourself in that situation.
No, because I did that for so many years and I know what
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I mean,
And so some of what your new friend is advocating for might be to adopt that role again, the role that you
mhm,
never did adopt properly. You never felt comfortable with it. And he may
yeah,
be pushing in that direction, and that could explain some of your discomfort or your boredom. Your boredom isn't just nothing.
yeah,
Pretty,
yeah, maybe there's a bit of the fear that he needs to
Yep.
explore that
Yep.
and he needs to go to the gay scene and
You would be clear that if he wants to do that, he wouldn't be doing it with you. He'd be doing it by himself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or with somebody else. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's a bit of a
But
shame because you see him searching for an identity, and what the identity he's going to adopt is going to bring him a lot of suffering. You imagine that's the case.
yeah, as like all identities bring suffering.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But that particular one sounds like it's not going to end well, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the value for you is in what the opportunities that he stimulates for you. He provokes the opportunities for you to go, why am I feeling this bit of discomfort? What
Mm,
am I feeling? And that's the
mhm,
opportunity. So it's not even about the issue, about you and him, or about the issue of what
mm,
he's going. It's about what's there inside you, what you can do about you.
mm. Yeah, and the other thing is that, yeah, maybe that sounds a bit egoistic, but at the moment I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I told you that I have some bumpy or rather bumpy days, but it's like if I compare it to before, it's nothing really. It's like it's maybe a bit of more work to do to stay to not be taken away by like thoughts and not identified too much. But it's totally okay. I mean, I still feel an overall contentment, but this calmness somehow I feel that it's a bit disturbed by this other person, and then
No, it's
I
not
just
heard by him. This is the point.
eh, mm,
He's the trigger for it.
yeah.
But what he's doing is he's provoking stuff that's in you.
Mm,
So it's to say it's about him,
yeah,
an escape.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
But see, we're getting at a fairly subtle level now, because without him provoking this, you wouldn't feel it. You would just be feeling quite calm and peaceful all the time.
mm,
So this is
yeah.
basically, you need to thank him for bringing this up. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, like yesterday was I felt quite clear again, like after a bit of storm in the water glass, like for some days. But and then it's funny because sometimes you remember like the way you felt or you were thinking the days before, and then it's like, huh, what was that, you know?
Mm.
Um, and one of the things was also that by opening up to somebody, of course, there's also some patterns that make me anxious, or I do think about is, yeah, if there is a future with this person or not. And then, but actually, um, I was quite, I'm quite clear now that mm, it doesn't actually change anything, you know, it doesn't change anything if um, this relationship has a so-called future or not, you know, it's not going to change the overall
Mm.
thing in my life, you know, it's
But any ideas about a future is just a fantasy.
there's not going to be anything better or worse. I mean, um, and yeah, then also um, yeah, I thought, okay, this person just came to my life and is confronting me with certain subjects, and that's an opportunity to, I don't know, work
Yeah.
together or alone with these subjects. But it's yeah, it's not like, wow, now I'm in love and everything's so great, you know, it's just it's not the same illusion as I would have had maybe as a teenager.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
there are parts of it that are very enjoyable, and other parts that are like a bit more tricky and like more work to do than if I was alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so that's where other people come in handy, don't they? They do that,
Mm.
offer these things to us. Yeah.
Yeah, but then sometimes I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say I have a relationship with myself. It sounds like very self-centered, but I mean, yeah, just mm, yeah, before I think I would always think, I have to be careful. It's not the right time yet. I'm not able to do this yet. It's too much for me. And now I have more trust in, yeah, I can do it. It's not a problem, you know. Give me more stuff to work on, um, but it's also okay to say sometimes like, give me a second. I mean, actually, I don't really want to talk about this subject now.
Mm.
Can we talk it in a different
Yeah.
different time?
Yeah, that's
I
good.
think it's okay too. I mean, I'm honest. I don't have to yeah, maybe I could say also, you know, maybe it does trigger me a bit and I have to find out a bit what that's all about. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've got something to go on with there.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, but actually, I'm quite, sometimes it's like I just feel this contentment. And then, for example, when we have these meetings, I don't really feel like being able to tell you anything. And then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now I have something to work with again. So it's also fine.
Yeah, good. Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point, like what you said before. It really did help me.
Mm. So what's happened for you since we last spoke, Tyler?
I've been working with the pointing that you gave of what if it's always going to be like this? Yeah. And then I feel like that has been stronger than any inquiry question I've had to leading me into the, yeah. Not much. Not much has been going on.
Yeah. Right. Things will probably be more subtle. You know, we're at a point where you don't expect you know, great giant big epiphanies to happen as such. They're just little discoveries that are more likely to be the case. And can you see when you've contemplated that pointing, whatever it was, that there's been a change of feeling as a result of that? Is there that pull for something to happen? Is that let go?
I think not completely, but largely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the issue is not for it to go particularly. The issue is about your relationship with that. And so what I mean by that when I say that is that if you recognize that there's that yearning for something to happen, but you also recognize that it's just a fantasy, a thought story running amok, then you can well, you'll find it funny. You'll laugh at it. You're not. It's not going to engage you. But the funny thing is that there it is when you know it's just a load of shit. You know what I mean? So that relationship is really where the juice is for you. How do I feel about that? The fact that it still happens. How do I feel about that? It's not about it. It's not about it happening. It's about how you feel about it. And so when you just can be almost like a passive observer of the fact that it's there and be somewhat amused by the fact that it got triggered, then that's exactly what we're after, I guess, even though we're not after anything.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm trying to use that to let go of the pulling of something that I imagine.
Mhm.
And then when I really had let go of it, kind of, once, then that's when weird things started happening with my perception.
Mhm.
And then it just kicks up again to explain what just happened and how to do it again. Yeah.
Mm. So what if we switch it around? Instead of saying that's something that you're going to let go of, which kind of it implies and strengthens a whole lot of delusions, like as if you can let go of something, right? Change it around to if it lets go of me. It's so that's the other way around. Rather than you letting go of it, it's going to let go of you. It's just going to not come back when it's no longer of any value. Right? But even though it's not an it and it can't let go and it doesn't hang on and all that kind of stuff, by turning it around that way, you stop reinforcing the other one, which is the subtle idea, the delusion that you actually can let go of something like that. You know, you don't control your thoughts, do you?
No.
They turn up or they don't turn up. So if that thought turns up, how can you tell it not to? That's hilarious, I think. Don't come, thought. Don't come. Guess what? It's going to come straight away when you say that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So just playing around with all these things. Words are where a lot of things go wrong, but also words. You know that words are words, and they're really powerful. They have a lot of effect on us. You know. So when you think in words or when you talk in words, if you can be a little objective and watch them coming out, they tell you things about. Got nothing to do with what the words themselves are. It's got nothing to do with the content of them, what they mean. It's the fact that they're there that tell you things about yourself. So watching the words that come out of your mouth or words that form as thoughts can be really productive. Gives us clues to what's going on all the time. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a casual thing when you said, if I can let go of, or whatever it was you said, but you know, it's a really casual thing, but all of it, and because it's just part of talking and we do it all the time, we don't even realize that what we're actually saying is that I'm going to let go of that thought. I'm going to let go of this need to arise or whatever it is I'm going to let go of. Of course, it's got nothing to do with reality, has it?
Yeah.
Now we're really close to mystery stuff again. You know, we can say, well, is it learning? Am I going to learn something that allows me to let it go, or is it going to is my brain going to change, and is that why that thought won't come back again? Who knows? You know, this is just a big mystery. This whole thing. All we know is that that's something that will drop away. We can feel okay about it.
Yeah. And with the wanting to let go of it, it wasn't about wanting to let go of something. It was about trying to gain something that you would gain if
Yeah.
you could let go of the thing. You know?
Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, oh, I've been insincere.
Yeah. Ah, judgment. Yeah, watch them. All right, we're about to get a bit more activity here. My wife's just come out of the shop, so we're going to load up and I'll go home, and then I'll be nice and clear with you. So yeah. So if I turn my volume off so you can't hear me, David, how about you talk to Ramiz and see how he's been going?
Homework now.
Not homework, work. Okay. I'll be back in 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Is there a noise?
Don't hear a noise.
Okay. I've been noticing like different types of modes I'm switching between. There's like each one has like a center of gravity. One is feeling, the other is thinking, and the doing. And it feels hard to deliberately switch between one to the other. And the one that most feel comfortable lately or is feeling. I can like sit for hours and do nothing and just riding the energy in the body. And I find it hard to switch. And if I switch to, for example, doing stuff, I find it hard to come back and sit. It's like there's no kind of balance. It just
I don't understand. Like you feel sensations, and after it's time to do things, so you just stand up and start to do whatever you have to do. And
it's like
with-
shifting. Even the concept of doing something, it doesn't even come. It's just like I'm sitting, that's it. You know, like I can think of doing something, but even the thinking takes a lot of energy. And I can fall into thinking and then I can fall into the doing. It's just I don't feel like I have control or how to manage when to do something and when to think and when to feel. It's just it feels like a gravity, like something sucks me in and
okay. So where is the hard part? To say it's hard. So you are feeling something, then there is a gravity that pull you into thinking or doing. So where is the hard part? What is hard about that?
Um,
What's the problem? I mean,
it feels like when I'm feeling it, my body, and I'm sensing,
Mhm.
it feels like home.
Mhm.
And I don't feel like I can do something and at the same time be in the body, be in this home feeling. And it feels like a conflict. It feels like I'm trying to manage two things, two different things. And sometimes there's
you
this
feel the
kind of
conflict,
desync.
but you feel the conflict. To me, it feels more like the conflict. It's in your thoughts.
I don't, it feels more like a friction, like I'm desyncing. It's like when you feel, it's like when you are doing something and you're thinking and you're it's like two different streams, and I can't. It's